What's up, everyone? How's your day going so far? Make sure you can hear me. Give me some acknowledgement.
It's going great. Hi, how are you?
Awesome. How are you doing? Glad you're here.
Good.
All right. Are you guys as excited as I am? Seller appointments?
Yay.
Yeah. Are you going on too many of them? Not enough?
Not a single one. I
Not
don't
a
know
single
anybody.
one. Well, let's hopefully get you excited a little bit about getting over that. What do you think's happening? Is it just new? Are you on the phone looking for appointments yet? Are you trying to figure it all out before you do that?
All of the above. I'm basically focusing on my sphere of influence. I'm reaching out to them, and that's what I've been doing. I've been getting a lot of, oh yeah, sure. So I'm nurturing a few possible leads that will possibly be buying within the next 3 months. But it's just like right now, just working with them.
Yeah.
No leads on, I also got a lead on a rental listing, but no sellers yet. They're
Okay.
coming. I'm claiming them, like them.
Yeah. Cool. I might add a tip to that on what you can do to maybe test out some of the stuff we talk about today. Want to see if everybody else wants to chime in. How's your appointments going? Are you trying to get appointments? Are you not getting maybe enough calls in? Are you calling your sphere? What are you doing?
Oh, I have something.
Yeah,
Wait.
go ahead.
Remember last Sunday, you said, I'm curious to know how many people would actually place an offer on the first home that they go in an open house.
Uh-huh.
I helped an agent and her client yesterday, and they put in their offer. Yay!
All right. That is so
small
awesome.
percentage, I guess. Yeah.
Any
That's
chance
good.
they had a house to sell that you got to test your listing appointment out?
No, she's renting.
Okay.
No, supposedly she sold her house already. Her agent had her sell her house, put her in a rental because,
Sold fast.
they sold. Yeah. And so now she's looking for a place for herself. And so I was showing her around, like basically like, welcome to my home, showing her around, talked them through it. And then that was it. And so then the agent gave us a card and goes, we'll let you know. And then the listing agent called me and says, good job, Roya. They put in an offer and the seller's happy. So it's great.
Awesome.
It worked out. I know you just wanted an update. So I gave you an update. It worked out.
Very cool. Anybody else on sellers? Anything that, we're just having a conversation. You got a group here. You got a group of people that are going through the same thing you're going through. So getting more seller appointments so you can use the stuff that we cover today. What are you struggling with? What are you working on?
Following through. But I had a conversation with the seller just recently, just at a nail salon. I don't know if I brought that up or not last week. And we just struck up the conversation and she's like, well, I have an investment property I'm thinking of selling. And so, but in this market, how is it? So I just went into a good conversation. And she's like, can I have your business card? And I said, let me show you my app because I don't have a business card. And so, and that was it. And so she's like, send me an email, let me know, everything we discussed. And so we did. And so I've been texting her back and forth, but then I'm trying to get the tax record. I said, this is the part where I want to get the appointment made, but she's busy. I don't want to bombard her. I don't want to harass her. But at the same time, I want to get this shit done. Sorry, I'm sure you guys have heard the word. I want to get this shit done. Okay. Yeah. I want to lock in an appointment. And I ain't got time for me chasing after you where I don't want to chase after you where I seem desperate. And I also don't want to come across like I'm an idiot, which I should have had all of these things done in the first place. However, I was in the middle of getting my nails done. We're having a conversation. It was only half an hour that she says, let's do it. Here's my husband's email address. Let's, get it started. But now, people sleep on it. So it's like strike when it's hot. But I'm like, all right, let's wake this up. Let's turn the burner back on. I don't know. So I reached out to her and was like, what's the apartment, the unit? Because I see only 2 units, blah, blah. She's like, oh, it's unit 8. I'm like, there's no unit 8 in this apartment. So, her husband's a neurologist, all this stuff. So I see the name and been verified. but just an address, not the unit. It's a duplex. So anyway, whatever. So I'm at a point where I want to know, how do I get her to fucking call me or answer me? She's like, I'm driving right now, but yes, thank you so much for all your help. I don't know. I don't know.
I know, but you might not like my answer.
Oh God. I probably won't. Go ahead.
What did you not do yet that you know I'm going to say, did you do?
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
Here's the thing. The note crosses over and takes you out of the pushy salesperson. And the note actually could say, so great talking to you. Just wanted to let you know there were 4 properties that sold since we talked just the other day. Like if I was like, whatever. So looking forward to helping you take advantage of the market. It's not.
She's actually a note person because she's older.
Yeah.
She likes those kind of things.
Yeah.
You know?
And
Go ahead. No, but we've been texting.
Yeah.
Like I texted her again today from last Friday to get information from her, but I need to get information. Like she wants me to do this thing for her, but I need to get this information from her now, not a note, but I'll send her a note.
Well, the note will have softened her up to actually feel good about taking your call. Right now, she's too busy. And I'll get to it later. I'm just saying, try it. Drop it in the mail now.
For her, I will for her. She'll be like, how did this lady get my address?
But we're actually going to address that directly and also talk about what Elizabeth was talking about to get more appointments to actually use some of the stuff today. So we're going to actually talk about both of those things and anyone else. So we've gotten a few different things on the table here that we're going to give you real world specifics on how you can use this stuff that we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to make it sound so stinking easy. You're going to be like, what? I can do that. Come on. I'm pretty good about that, aren't I? Do I make it sound easy when you're listening to it?
Too easy.
Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to really like what you're dealing with on the seller side? Or maybe you're not dealing with it yet. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not dealing with them yet.
Yeah, go ahead. Gotcha. What was it that you said?
I'm not dealing with them yet.
Not dealing with them yet. Okay.
Yes, not yet.
Now, are you talking to people every day, looking for people who want to talk about real estate and just talking to people yet? Or are you still getting ready to?
I am so. Like,
okay.
I every morning I try a couple calls, but not like 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
You know, and I have some people here to follow up. I'm going slow. Like I know I need to improve my scripts, so I'm like trying new ones, and like you said, I'm like taking notes of like my challenges when they say something negative. So yeah, I'm in the process.
Okay, cool. I'm going to have something for both you and Elizabeth on that for sure. All right. And anything else before we kick in? Okay, so let's go in here and we're going to come back. I'm telling you, I'm going to give you guys a way to actually start using some of this stuff today with these people that you're talking to, and we're going to switch it around to where they're going to go, oh yeah, let's meet up, and we'll do that. But before we get there, we're actually, it's in the material, so we're going to get through all the material today, and I'll bring it up so you guys will be excited about it. Everybody will actually be excited about it. And so today's session is on the seller appointments, making the seller listing presentations and getting the listing. So remember, like now, what we're talking about is connecting. You got your master list. If you really have gotten everybody off Facebook, everybody out of your phone into your master list, you're cross-referencing phone numbers and addresses, and that's your call list, then this says we're getting seller listing presentations and we're getting seller listings. And yet what we also talk about all the time is that 98% of the people aren't moving right now. So we're using this as our connection time to connect with them and really cross over to be that, like the handwritten note, to get just connected with them so that they'll look at stuff in the future. And the rest of our drip plan will be in front of them when they decide they want more information. Remember, you're switching gears after that first note, even though I say, no card, no branding. It's a brain thing that's been studied by everyone. And we have a limbic part of the brain that blocks things, that if I don't know the value and I don't know if I can, I'm going to say, don't know if I can trust the person yet. But what it is you're coming out of the blue with a lot of cold calling. They don't know who you are, and they don't know if you know what you're doing, and they don't know if you're going to bring value. So it's a natural block to just avoid it. You guys go back through your deleted email box. There's probably some email in there, several emails in there about how somebody could have showed you how to make $100,000 in real estate or to sell 40 homes from Facebook. And for some reason, you deleted that email. And I'm just kind of saying, if that person would have reached out, now if they would have reached out, tried to call you, they might have had to leave a message. They might have tried to call you a couple times, didn't get you on the phone because you had no idea who the caller ID was. This is somebody selling a program to show you how to get listings off Facebook, right? And they make $50 if you buy their program. So if they would have called you, you probably would have avoided the call, didn't recognize the number, whatever. They finally drop you something in the mail. So I've been trying to reach you by phone. Here's my number. Look for it on your caller ID. I'm actually going to give you 5 things to do to get more listings next month for free, right? And so you do all that. The next time they call, they leave a message. They call me back at this number. I'm going to give you 5 things to get 40 listings from Facebook, or to get more listings from your Facebook post. I'm going to share it with you for free. Eventually, you're going to pick up the phone. And then if they write you a note and said, so great connecting, excited to help you take your business to the next level. Here's my cell phone. I'm available for you. Any information you have while you're going through this, I will be more than happy to share it with you. All of a sudden, can you see how things are starting to change? And this is just somebody selling their program. They want you to buy the $50 program, but they're going to give you some stuff for free along the way. It's the same thing that you're going to start looking at their stuff going, this person is serious. They really want me to get some listings from Facebook. It's going to be hard for you to blow them off at that point because they've reached out and made the personal connection. Now, you may just look at some of the stuff and you're busy at first and you're not really implementing it yet. But if they keep checking in, eventually you're going to start going, all right, I really do need to look at that. So it's the same thing with buyers and sellers. They may not be buying or selling right now, but all that little personal touch does is keep us in front of them so that when they do finally get ready to do it and they realize what their urgency is, that they'll call you, right? So for you guys, for Elizabeth, and I always afraid I'm going to say your name right, Bruna. Is that good? All right. So Elizabeth and Bruna example, and everybody else too, who's calling people. And you're wanting to talk about real estate, but I already told you 98% of them don't. So for your sphere, if you've connected well, and so remember, the first call is kind of reconnect. It's not about real estate yet. This is not going to work yet on your first call because you want to set it up. Family, how you doing? Occupation, you write the note, they get it, it feels good, right? Even if your friend thinks it's a little weird, right, Roya? Even if your friend thinks it's a little weird, just the brain is letting everything else come through and kind of process what's coming in the future. I don't really care how they feel about the note. It's just part of the process. But now what happens is something goes out, like whether it's something you mail, like a little resume page, you can literally just print off your resume page, the About Me page on your website, print it off on one flyer, stick it in an envelope and mail it, right? So that's 1 week after the call, the connection, the note. Now a week later, mail something. The next week, you're sending them a link to either like your app or a link to, are you curious what houses are selling for in your neighborhood? And it's just your KW page where they put in an address and hit search, right? So you're just sending that in an email and go, if you ever want to know the price on a property, use this search. It's better than all the other ones out there because it's yours. And then the next one, the call pops up. 4 weeks down the road, we've done some touches, right? So now this call pops up again. And here's what you do with that call is when you call and you check, it was so great connecting. They're like, oh, we got your note, whatever they say. I won't even pick on the note so much. But they say, oh, it's a great connecting with you. Thanks, blah, blah, blah. Say, hey, today I was calling real quick for a quick business to help me with some business stuff. Are you available? or can you help me for a couple minutes? The bold script, I just butchered it. But it literally, however you get to it, it's like, hey, I was calling today because I'm testing out a new method just for checking the values on properties. And I know you own your house. You own your home, right? I mean, we're probably calling people that are owning at that point. If they're renting, then you could say, I'm checking neighborhoods that have homes for the price ranges that my friends would be looking in if they were buying or selling right now, whatever that call is. But to get to the listing point, I'm just going to use that example right now. First of all, you probably know if they own their home by now because you check tax records, like Roya was saying earlier. You know they own their home. So you're calling to say, hey, we're testing out kind of a method with the market being as crazy as it is, pulling up values on homes to see what they are and showing you how we calculate that based on supply and demand and all that stuff. So you being my friend and everything, I just wondered if I could run this like past you, not that you're buying or selling, not that you're selling right now, but just to run the formula past you, the value, see what questions you have about it and how we've calculated it. You got maybe just like 15 minutes later this week or 30 minutes later this week that I could do that with you. And see, that could be in person, it could be in Zoom, it could be on a phone call, whatever. Then what happens is you get to go, great, and they say, yeah, sure, I'll help you do that. It's like you're testing your new calculation for home values. Great. So whenever you have 15 minutes, we're going to go through this. So you schedule the appointment with your friend who's not selling, but you get to go through this stuff and use it, right? Now, believe me, after you do this, you're going to turn on the let's get going plan. It's like, really, that's what my house is worth? Or you planted a seed that now they're going to start noticing real estate everywhere, and you will create some listings from this. But that's when you say, great, so I just got to get some information from you. And it's a new form that you're using to collect their information, the forms that are in the books and stuff, right? So let me just get some information from you, and I want to just verify, blah, blah, blah. Tell me about your home. I'm going to get all that information. Great. I'm going to go ahead and use this new formula for however we're pulling up values and stuff. And I'll plan on seeing you on Thursday at 5 o'clock. Thanks so much for doing this. It's going to be fun just to see what your value is, I bet, right? And they're like, yeah, I'm kind of curious. So that should be cool. I guarantee you're going to get 1 out of 10 people if you've connected right? Now, if I just call out of the blue and I'm like, hey, I got a new formula, I want to try and value, blah, blah, hadn't heard from you in forever. It's probably like, yeah, we're really not selling right now. It's like, no, I know. Now, it's like you're swimming upstream, right? So when you connect with people and you got a good connection, just throw it out there and say, I really would like to just practice. Some of these people, you could even say, hey, I'm just practicing the different values on different homes in different neighborhoods. You mind if I run your house, and can we meet and just go through it? I'd like your feedback on what you're getting from me and what you would like to see to help me be a better agent. Do you guys see how that could be so easy to do? And oh, I know, I'm telling you, Elizabeth, I probably made it sound a little too easy, didn't I? And it's just getting
you always do.
But you know what? It's like as soon as you get off the phone and you just do it, right? Every time I have a coaching call, and I'm like, even I struggle, guys. Even I stumble on some things, and I'll have a coaching call and I'll just do exactly what they just said. I'm just doing it. And it's like, oh my gosh, set an appointment. And it's funny how it rolls when you just take action. Now, don't beat yourself up too much, because we really do try to make everything more difficult than it really needs to be. And it really is as simple as just saying, you mind if I just use your house as a sample to figure out what the value is and see what I would love to hear your reaction and get your comments on what you like about it, what I should provide. And I would love to do that for you. Oh, I'd love to help out, right? So anyway, so that's one way to get that in there. Any questions on any of that stuff? That's on getting the presentation, and the get the listing will come with the ones that are ready. I mean, they'll meet with you anyway, but this will plant a seed and create some sellers for you ahead of time. So with that being said, we're going to come back to what Roya was talking about on locking up that appointment and all that other stuff. So what sellers want. Think about this when you're getting into the listing presentation conversations. These are the ways the people found their agent. And there's a couple amazing things on here because, like, one, the black, 39% were referred by a friend, neighbor, or relative. 27% used the agent before. So that's what, almost 65%, right? Yet, if we look at the remaining ones, personal contact by the agent, the internet website, visited an open house, and other, they're like 5, 4, 3%. But you see people jumping onto the website, posting to try and get appointments. Or, we talked about open house, how to get the most effective open house to get the most people through so you can pick up buyers. Very few people are really turning into sellers from that, even though if you pick them up as a buyer, 70-something% of them should own a home. But personal contact by the agent, that's cold calling. Less than 5% does that happen. So it's coming back to your friends, your family, that master list, right? And using the agent before. If you're new, you don't have that, but that is going to help drive your follow-up after you do get appointments, that you want to stay in touch with them for the next 5 to 10 years, because they will come use you again if you do. And if you drop that piece, then they'll fade off in the background. The next thing is what sellers want. What they want is help, and this is pretty split all across the board. So it's not like one thing skewing one way or the other, but helping them market their home. Okay, marketing, if you don't know, if that scares you, that word scares you a little bit, I don't even know what to do to market a home. Just by putting it on MLS, you're marketing a home. By getting it on a KW website, you're marketing it to 3 times more websites than what would be marketed through MLS. Help sell the home in a specific time frame. So obviously the market's hot right now, so time frame is just fast anyway. Even if you screw it up, you're probably still going to sell the house fast. But that is talking to them about supply and demand when we do the CMA, right? And there is another whole session on, we're going to talk about the 10-minute CMA, how to pull up pricing on a house. Don't worry about that right now, because you can just pull up their neighborhood and see what's been on the market and what's sold in the last 6 months or a year. And you'll see there's nothing for sale and quite a few sales. So that's going to tell you there's more houses selling than there are available. That means that the buyers are buying them as fast as they come on the market. So just think of that in terms of, if I'm looking at the last 12 months and there's 15 sales and 1 house for sale and 4 pending, I mean, you can kind of figure out there's a higher demand. There's 4 pending, 1 for sale, and there's 15 sales in the last 12 months. That's a house selling every single month, which means that those last 3 that are pending came on in the last 2 to 3 months, and they're all pending. So the market's moving as fast. So that's your time frame if you have to use that for right now. High home price competitively. So there's another thing too, when you're doing your pricing, you can look at the sales. But if you look at the pendings and the houses that have offers on them, that was the asking price that got the offer. So if you're around that price, you're probably going to help them get an offer. But if they're wanting a price that's way higher than anything that's on your sheet, including the one that's for sale, that you're going to be the most expensive thing on the market, is that what you want? Because if you were a buyer, would you buy the most expensive house on the market right now? Or would you think that the market's overpriced? So again, once you know what they want, you can start formulating your conversation around that. You can also bring that stuff up to address those things on the front end, to come up with your scripts. Somebody have something they want to jump in on? So one of the things, I don't know if Roya froze or what, but this is where it comes back to a previous session, very, very beginning. If you weren't here in the very beginning, go watch like the first 2 or 3 sparks. We talked about, what's your why is one of those. And one of the things that I said way back when, if you can master someone's why and you use that response from them in your presentation, that will drive them to make decisions quicker. And this may be and may not be directly related, Roya, but that seller, if you know why she would even call in the first place and why she would think about selling, and you were highlighting that, that needs to come up in the conversation, and you want to get the crap done. So do you know why she would even think about selling that property?
Whole spiel,
What's that?
I got the whole spiel.
Cool.
Why?
What's her, in a nutshell, what's her why for selling?
Her husband is they're getting older. They're older. They're close, he's just tired of dealing with the maintenance of, paying for the roof, doing this. And he got tired of it. This has been an investment property for so many years. They have a tenant now that's moving out in April, urgency. And she's like, he really wants to sell me. So then what's your reservation? It seems like there's a reservation coming from your voice. Like, what's going on with you? And she goes, well, it's the whole capital gain tax. That's what we're, because we bought it for this amount this long ago. And I'm just thinking, and I looked at her, I'm like, she's got 4 heads. I said, wait a second. I said, you're in a situation where this is an investment property. You guys, you're in, they're rich, right?
Yeah.
It's like I get off and so I'm like, I told her, I said, you know what? I think a tax accountant will be able to really assist you with that part of it. And let's just say that it'll really put you at ease as to how that can actually work in your benefit. But I would love to, at least in the meantime, get this stuff sent over to you right away, and then we could work something out. She's like, oh, I would love that. And she's like, here's my email address. But but it's
so guys, let's talk about this. So it's talking about the why and the urgency, and just you guys can hear in Roy's voice, she's so frustrated that she knows they're busy and that she just won't meet with her, right? So that's where the next conversation opportunity that I can have, knowing that it is in their best interest to meet and get that property sold as soon as possible. There's a couple things around that. First of all, capital gains isn't going to be any less later, right? Now, we could get with them and say, like, if they said capital gains, that's an objection. So I would write that down, and I would find a script. I would find 3 scripts to address capital gains or making too much money, right? And in that, because I've done that, I would say, now capital gains isn't going to go away. However, there could be some options to avoid capital gains depending on what you're doing. When we get together, I can discuss some of those options and see if there's a way for you to avoid it. But as of now, I mean, as values are going up, your capital gains is going up too, right? So probably meeting sooner than later might be a good thing to avoid capital gains. Would you agree?
But here's the thing. Wait.
Yeah.
That's what I thought too. But I called my financial advisor immediately after our appointment. When I met her, and he told me how it all works. He's like, but you can't say one word about capital tax gain. I'm like, well, can I say that she would see the tax accountant and he'll be able to give her the different options that are available to you, not to say no tax, to avoid tax, because she's still going to pay tax. Really, technically, the difference is if she sells her stocks, then those stocks will then offset the tax for her to pay that percentage, but it's at least her money versus giving to the government. But I can't tell her that, and I can't tell her.
No, I wouldn't even get into that conversation. What I would say is your capital gains isn't going to go down any less as values are going up. Would you agree?
Yes. And I said, this is the time to now, if you're not going to buy anything else, what are the other next chances that you're going to have a price in your value when you sell it in a few years?
Well, again, I want her to ask me to tell her that question.
Yeah.
So how do you change that conversation around to get her to say that exactly what you just said?
Well, right? She says we have a tenant. Should we keep the duplex with our tenant? Or, because we really like the guy.
Well, I tell you what, the best thing for us to do is get together and evaluate that situation so you know what your options are. What's good, Thursday or Friday, right? Yep. But again, you know her why too. So if I'm caught up in that and she's not meeting, it's like, listen, I'm connected, right? And I can call her up and go, hey, I was just thinking of you guys. I actually was in your side of town and it made me think of your duplex and made me think of your husband doing all the repairs and stuff. And I thought, I mean, every day that we haven't met, one more thing could come up and he's got more repairs to do. And I know you guys are busy. So I've just thought I better call and just say, hey, do you want to get something on the schedule and we can all meet and figure out what your options are so you can get that going. Just decide what's best for you. It's not about getting them listed right away. That's now I got an expectation. I got to get the appointment so we can sit down and go through the options that are available that I can discuss with them, right? And it's like, man, I was just thinking the other day, if one more water heater goes out tomorrow, I know that's a possibility. And if he has to mess with that in your busy schedule, it might be better if we just all get together and know what your options are. So you can get that thing wherever it needs to be, whether it's keep it, whether it's sell it. I mean, your tax accountant can go over that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
And I was going to tell her, like, and also if you're concerned about your tenant, 'cause you have to give her 60 days, I'll help her find a place. What's the big deal?
Well, and again, it's like, if you're concerned about the tenant, let's get together. I've got some options for that.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of options? It's like, oh, there's lots of options. I mean, whether the tenant stays with the new owner, we could help them find a house. But again, I want to get in front of them to explain those options. There's several options for your tenant that is in that property, and you're going to pick the best one that's for you. So we'll figure that out when we get together. What's good, Thursday or Friday?
Yeah, and I even said I could come to the office. I can come to you to make me to the office versus the home.
So now let's go into, I've tried some of these scripts. I'm still getting the objections. So again, I would write them down. Let's come into the office. Whatever she said to not come into the office, I'd go find some more scripts. And I would put that in my script book. And if we skip that part, then you just you're trying to figure it out. And somebody else has already been there and figured out what to say to get the appointment more often. It's not always going to work, but that's why I say find 3 scripts. Because then you have 3 different things that you can use, and you can take a couple stabs and you'll usually get through more often. But now what happens, so I'm sitting in your shoes right now, and for everyone, that when you're talking to people and you're talking about values, and let's just say you piqued their interest a little bit. You tried what I said and it was kind of easy. I don't have the appointment yet, but they're like, yeah, I think I might be able to do that. We could maybe, this week's kind of crazy. And it's like, no. And you'll just naturally say, I understand. I'll call you back and we'll set something up later. All of those things could happen where you haven't met yet. Well, now would be the perfect time to schedule or to plug like an MLS search for that neighborhood. Every duplex that comes on the market and every one that sells, I'd send it to them from the time we first met until today. 2 more came on the market and they went under contract within 3 days. So now I'm keeping them up to date on the market, and they realize they're missing the market. In fact, I could print that 1-line printout. Yep, getting the thumbs up. I could print that 1-line printout and go, a couple more just came on and went off the market, just keeping you up to date on what the market values are doing. Not that, oh my gosh, we got to meet, you're missing buyers. No, it's like just keeping you up to date on what the market's doing. And they're going to start seeing these prices and go, oh my gosh, we need, and that's where the phone starts ringing back in. So those are all things to get the appointment, So again, even with your friends and family, I mean, think about this, guys. You want to get more appointments and you're not mastering the script to try out the formula or whatever you want to call it, right? Put them on a search for their neighborhood to get automatic listings of what's coming on the market and what's going under contract in their neighborhood, in their immediate area, or for their type of house in the MLS area that you're in. And when you send the first one, it could be automatic email, but I'd probably print out a couple and just go, hey, thought you might want to know what's going on in your area. I'll keep you up to date on it with regular market updates. Now I'm like got real estate stuff going out, even if you do it once a quarter or once a month, or how often you got time to pull that report, that's going to be manual work. However, everybody you talk to, if they own their home, what a great way to start layering that real estate in there. Pretty soon, they're going to pick up the phone and call you. Hey, you were saying something about just determining value. We've been watching these numbers you're sending, and my wife keeps talking about it. And so we probably need to have you over and just see what our value of our home is. See, now we're past testing a formula. They're interested in what their value of their home is. Now I get a real seller appointment. Good stuff, guys. Man, is this fun or what? Don't you feel bad for everybody that didn't come into the call today?
No, I had a presentation today. Liz wanted me to tell you. She's like, there's going to be a lot of people missing, but it's the big new agents orientation today.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Well, we do record them too. So if you have any new agent friends and they weren't able to come on the call today, definitely tell them, man, you got to check out that recording. In fact, you guys do me a favor, and well, do all of us a favor and get us all excited about the stuff so we can bring more and more of this stuff. Go to your like office Facebook page and just kind of post something about what you thought of today's class, right? Say, oh my gosh, Ignite, this session was blah, 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 whatever you got out of it, right? Okay, cool. So the process to listing, there's the pre-listing questionnaire, which I just showed you the form on that. Scheduling the appointment, I gave you some tips on how to get that done. Sending a pre-listing packet, creating the listing presentation, and the home walkthrough at the listing appointment. So when you get this appointment, you want to pretend to yourself like it's a real listing appointment. If they said, you know, if it's your mom is the first guinea pig that says, all right, come over and run your numbers and play around with it, right? And that's actually good. Your personal friends, those are the ones that you can call and say, hey, I really am figuring out how to price properties and I need like 5 more to do and your house is in there. I mean, they know you're not bugging them for a listing appointment, but you get to get the information on the form, follow it like you're really on a listing appointment, because that's going to give you the confidence when you actually get on the real one and you've done it 5 times with real friends that are not selling, but you got to go through the process, you got to walk through the home and do all that stuff. It's going to make you much more confident when you get down there. And still, we're talking about real estate. So we're getting to play the game a little bit. And you are planting a seed, and pretty soon you'll realize your friends start calling you back. So before the appointment, rolling in here, remember we talked about what A, B, and C sellers are. A's are ready to do something, B's are just kind of thinking about it, and C's are not planning on doing anything yet. That's going to push up when you actually go for that appointment or really just start playing that, asking for your value and planting that seed. But here's the pre-listing goal. So when you're talking to them, if they say, we're not moving, we just, you know, we're probably not moving for another 10 years, you still, that would be a C buyer, right? Or a C seller. You can then go down that path of, well, do you mind if I just get a value on your property just to see what it is and I'll keep you up to date? Every so often I can come over and do that. And I love to be the most accurate I can be on listing appointments. But if they're a B or a C, there is some value in telling them what you guys are going to do. Now the state your value goes all the way back to value proposition. And if you didn't come up with your value propositions, it's going to be hard to do the pre-listing when you don't even know what your value is, let alone pre-selling yourself because you don't know what your value is. And how are you going to save them time? Because you're still trying to figure it out. So it's very important to go back to the value proposition Ignite session and really just write down everything that you think you would do as a real estate agent to provide value. It doesn't matter if you know it all or not. I'm talking about what you know and what you're comfortable with. And then when you can pull out the 3 things that you do best, and I know it's hard to say if you're fairly new, what are the 3 things you do that your competitors can't say you do? Do you remember me talking about that? What are the 3 things you do that your competitors can't say they do? You may not have the confidence yet to know what that is, but I will tell you, if you're newer, it's putting the time and the one-on-one into it versus a team where you might not even be talking to the top agent, right? You might be talking to a team member and they might know as much as me, right? So that's just from the confidence level. But until you write out some things and you see what your value proposition is, and as you dig through that exercise, you will figure out you do have value as a real estate agent. I mean, you do have time to really figure out the right value of the house. You do have a back end group of people in your office that you ask questions of all the time, that you're not getting 1 year experience or less than 1 year experience or a couple years experience. You've got hundreds of years of experience right there in your office to ask about different things. And that could be something like, it's a duplex and the renter in there. I don't know what the value would be of the property with a renter in there. So you could ask somebody in your office who deals with multifamily and ask them, you know, is there a difference between having a renter in there when you're selling it or not having a renter in there? And you can start piecing this stuff together as you go. So you really do have the experience of the best agent in your entire city right there in your office, because you got a collaboration of people. But you got to know what your value proposition is, or it's going to be hard to pre-sell yourself and build the confidence, because you may not even have your own confidence in why they would pick you. And why they would pick you right now is, you know, when they ask questions, where somebody might just rip something off and make something up, you're going to go find out the real answer, because you're still learning now. Which brings me back to, if you're building from your master list and you're connected with people and they know who you are, not that you have to go around telling everybody you're brand new, but if they really know you well and they're your sphere, they know you're new to real estate and they know they're helping you by asking those questions. It's like, that is a great question, and I do know where to get the answer on that. So I'm gonna call you back on that. That's a great way to answer something like that. But over time, when those objections are coming up and you're writing them down and you're finding 3 scripts, you're going to be able to get people to the decision point faster. If you skip the objection book and you're not looking at the script book, then you're not going to get there faster. You're going to kind of be him-hawing around and digging around and trying to figure out what you should be saying. So the more appointments you can get set with your friends in your sphere, the more confident you're going to get, and you will naturally find out your values and the scripts and what to say just by sitting down with them. So that's why it's important to do that stuff now. So the pre-listing packet actually just kind of helps with when they do say, and again, if your friends and family say, yeah, we'll go ahead, we want you to test on us, go ahead and put a pre-listing packet together if that's what you're going to have available to drop off and tell them a little bit about the process. Because when you get through with a sphere friend and you've done this, you can say, thank you so much for letting me take you through the process. What'd you think of it? What'd you find valuable? What'd you not find valuable? And you're going to find some things out that you may want to add to your pre-listing packet. You're going to find out that maybe most of them never even looked at the pre-listing packet. So those are all important things that, wow, I need to look and see what the value is of my pre-listing packet. Let me stop there too and just make sure, I'm dumping a lot of information on you. Is there any questions you guys have about any of this stuff, or that you've had about listing appointments, and should I do a pre-listing package? Should I not? What do I need to do next? Any questions about anything? So on, there's pre-listing packets and there's a lot of pre-done stuff in Command that, again, if you block out an hour and go check it out, you can find out some stuff that's in there that you like. I did a pre-listing packet, but I turned it into a tub, plastic tub. This thing cost us about $24 to create. I was trying to make myself stand out. This was when I was cold calling like expireds and FSBOs and things like that. They didn't know me. I didn't have a relationship, because I don't even need a pre-listing packet with a sphere person. The only thing pre-listing packet I may have for a sphere person who's really thinking about selling is getting them like the seller's disclosure and some of that stuff up front to fill out ahead of time, so that I can collect that when I'm there, because I've already got the appointment. Once I meet with them, as long as the numbers work out and I find out their why, they're probably going to list. But for expireds, I mean, I'm just like everybody else that's calling them and knocking on their door and trying to get their listing. So I had to stand out differently. So we created a seller survival kit. And in this seller survival kit, I just thought of some basic cheap things that we could throw in there that would help, like, be their kit to prepare the house to get it ready for sale. We did like a magic eraser, which these magic erasers are supposed to be able to wipe marks off walls. We put a couple of 100-watt light bulbs in there for brighter rooms, brighter home. We put a small bottle of aspirin in there for showings that were a pain in the rear, having to be kicked out of your house every day. We just made funny little things up on that. But it also in there was our Keller Williams folder that had all the pre-documents and a copy of the contract and some of that stuff that they could review, with a note that said, here's the details on what we'll cover when we meet. Feel free to highlight anything that you might have questions about on the detail print, and I'll address that when we meet. So we kind of gave them that stuff to do ahead of time. Nobody ever really did anything with it. We just had our appointment already set, and I went there and showed anyway. In fact, I tracked my numbers. Remember, I was talking about tracking in the last call or two, tracking the results of what you're doing through the open houses. We were talking about that. So I tracked the results, and that tub didn't help me get a higher conversion rate of listing appointments. And what I know from the numbers that I was tracking at that time, it was 97% of all the appointments that I went on that listed their house listed with us. We would only lose about 3%. So I go on 100 listing appointments, and 50 of those people listed, and we would have got 47 or 48 of them. So we only lost about 3% of the listings to somebody else. When we did the tubs for a full year, we were still at 97%. So I was checking to see if I could close that gap of that 3%, because I mean, who doesn't want 100%? I want 100%. If I go there and meet with them, I want them to list with me. I don't want to lose one. So we were testing it to see if we could close the gap. It was about the same. So my business mind kicked back in and go, even though I was spending $24 for this tub, it wasn't increasing anything, our closure rate. So why do it? And we continue to do the 97% without the tub. So that's why I say you got to track your pre-listing packet. It's probably, and when you're working with your sphere, I'm kind of an oddball. I mean, most of my business comes from my database and my sphere, and they call me when they're ready. So it's a come list me most of the time. So I don't need to do a pre-listing packet or any of that. In fact, nowadays with dotloop, we just send them over the documents to fill out ahead of time online. And then we bring our paperwork when we get there, we'll show it to them, but it's all on dotloop. And I say, it's already sent. Here's what all this stuff means. I'll have the paper copy with me. And then I'll say, just click and sign, and we can have you on the market in an hour. So that's our instant on listing. Let me pause there. Any questions on anything about pre-listing packets? Should you do them? Should you not do them? Do you think you should be putting one together? Nothing particular on that. Okay. Then we will move on to the listing presentation. So on the listing presentation, again, all of these are in command. You don't have to come up with anything. You just have to schedule an hour to go in there and look at what's in there. Look at the pages that are through a listing presentation, grab the ones that you like, and customize it, right? And then you'll get to the point where if you do this enough, and even if you have to practice on your friends' houses to go in and print these off, when you're going through your sphere and you've got their address and they own the house, even if they haven't met with you yet, you could still go through and do a listing presentation on their house and maybe drop that in the mail. So you're talking to them and you're like, yeah, I mean, I want to test this different formula. It's like, yeah, we could definitely do that sometime. Say, great, I'm probably going to send you some other stuff ahead of time, because we got the most amazing, like, just listing information for sellers when they are thinking of selling. So I'm probably going to put a couple of those together on your house too. Oh yeah, sure, send it to me. Let me know what you think when you get them. So now I can start preparing listing presentations or pre-listing packets for these same people that I'm talking to every day. Again, not on the first call though, unless you're really connected enough with them that you could talk about that. This is going to be your second or your third or your fifth call, seventh call. Somewhere down the line, you're going to want to work real estate in there. But just let that natural path flow if you're working out of people on your master list. Now, if you're using one of the lead generation sources, you're probably going to get to these stages a little bit quicker. However, you still got to get over that block. It's the limbic part of the brain that is blocking them from paying attention to you or processing that it is, let's just get together and look at the numbers. They're not even processing that because you haven't broke through that part of the brain yet. It's still kind of on this automatic default block thing, right? The best story I ever heard to explain this is, if you were standing in front of a pool, and let's just say it's like 20 feet long, swimming pool, and I set $1,000 on one end of the pool and you're on the other end of the pool, and all you have to do is jump in and swim across the pool and get the $1,000 and it's yours. You'd probably do that unless I told you now there's a couple alligators in there. So you just got to swim 20 feet though and go get the $1,000. You're like, heck no, I'm not doing that. So then I say, okay, I'm going to set $1 million there. There's still a couple alligators in the pool. Would you jump in and swim across for $1 million? Whatever your answer is, especially if you said, well, it doesn't matter what your answer is. And I say, oh, by the way, we haven't fed them for a few days, so they are pretty hungry too, but it's $1 million. Are you going to jump in the water, right? So your limbic part of your brain is kind of determining what's safe and what's not safe, right? But just to show you where you can kick past that, how many of you have children, small children, right? Yeah, got some small kids. So you're standing there at the pool. I've got the $1 million there. I'll tell you about the alligators, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, hell no, I'm not doing that. And all of a sudden your child slips and falls in the pool. Are you in? You're in that pool in 2 seconds, grabbing them and pushing them out of the pool. Your brain just doesn't even, there's nothing about that. So that limbic part of the brain is that natural defense mechanism that blocks just almost everything. And we gotta see enough value in it before we can process. Your kid dropping in the pool is about the most valuable thing you have. You're going to jump in and not even think about it. So that's what we got to break through on these things. But man, they got the essentials page, your needs come first. This can actually even drive a lot of the conversation where I say master the why. Well, they've got the questions right on these on the presentations for you to talk about their why. You could just say right here, if all you're going on your first appointment, you hadn't quite figured out mastering your why and all that stuff, and it says your needs come first. I want you to go, oh, master your why. So what's important about this move for you? That should just trigger that question, right? What's important about that move? And what would you say next after they respond? What would you guys guess? Why is that an important date? Why is that move important to you? And they're going to respond to that, right? So you just kind of work through the questions and using these scripts. And again, if you can get people to meet with you so you can start doing this, you can get more masterful at it. So role model, this is where, again, these are the all-day classes where we would role model presenting the listing presentation. Honestly, I think the best way that you're going to role model any listing presentation is sit down with each other if you have to and go through the listing presentation, because all of you want to figure it out and you can hear each other doing it. And it's like, oh yeah, I like how you said that. But secondly is just meeting with your sphere and doing it, printing those out and going through them. Hey, I just want to go through this information. I want to find out what you find valuable, what whatever, get your opinion on it. I'll give you a free lunch on it or something like that. And then handling seller objections. I am telling you, I can script book you to death. I can give you all the scripts in the world. And what I find is that we're only going to learn the scripts that we actually need. And we usually haven't learned the ones we need when we're in that appointment. So the appointments are where you're going to learn it. And what I shared with you about the objection book of really, truly, when you're talking to people, if you really grab onto this and you say, hey, I've got this formula, I want to just see what your house is worth. Whatever they tell you to not meet with them, even if it's your friend and you're connecting, whatever they tell you is an objection. And there is a script that you can find. In fact, there's probably multiple scripts that you can find that would get them to go, no, you can come over. We definitely want to see what the value is, so write down the objections and find your scripts. There's just no way to teach that. I don't even think there's a way to really teach that stuff and master it in an all-day class. It's the all-day class is for us to throw it a couple times so that you will then leave the class just like you want to leave here and go dig that script book up, print it out from my previous email and start reading through the scripts and highlight anything that looks like something that's like, oh man, I could have used that one a week ago. That's where you're going to start seeing scripts, and tag them with a sticky note or something and keep those scripts in front of you. All right, listing appointment. Let's see how we're doing on time here. Okay, so the walkthrough. And a lot of times, even in bold, we hear Diana say, we had an appointment at 8 o'clock and it's 8 o'clock. I'm here. Great, they invite you in. When I do the walkthrough, I try to downplay everything. Like if you can just take a breath and slow down and calm your excitement down about being on this listing appointment in the first place, and come from a mindset like you do this all the time. So one of the things, I'm kind of a joker guy. I mean, you guys can tell from my energy level and things when I goof around on the call even. It's like I walk in and go, hey, so let's go on the grand tour. That's like my opening line. I've said it for hundreds of years. I don't even think I could go to a listing appointment and not say that within the first 30 seconds to a minute of being in the house. Come in, greet, hi, it's 8 o'clock, got our appointment, blah, blah, blah. It's like, all right, so let's do this first. Let's go on the grand tour. And they usually laugh and go, grand tour, right? You know, there's nothing too grand about it. No, that's all right. I just want to walk through and see what you guys have, and we can sit down and talk about the numbers. So that's usually how I do the walkthrough. Now, some people will walk through with clipboard. Do you mind if I take notes? No, you could stay up as you say that. That's whatever you've got a connection with that person. So you kind of know what they are or what they may expect. And if you don't, then you just do what you need to do. That's you. I don't take notes. I will tell you one quick thing on the walkthrough. Try to refrain from going, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful, or oh my gosh, because all they're doing in their mind is they're racking up like, my house is worth more than I thought. Yeah. So you want to just try and be as neutral as possible. Note things that, you know, stains in the ceiling, things like that, but you're just going on a walkthrough. In fact, if you have to even say, you know, show me the house like you would show it to a buyer, if you're that comfortable, I've never had to say that. I usually just say, take me on the grand tour. We walk through, and they'll tell me everything that they've done. We upgraded this, we did that. Now this is a little something we've always wanted to do was fix, and I just let them spill the beans on everything as we go through. Most people won't just stand there and say, okay, I'll meet you in the kitchen, go. I know that's one thing. It's like, it didn't work for me to say, you go sit in the kitchen and I'll go do my quick run through and come back. That didn't work for me. There's lots of styles to do it. So the more you can ask your friends to meet with you and go through this, you can try some different things and see how it goes. That's probably the fastest way for you to get into production and go on more listing appointments is get on some. Because I'm telling you, it only takes you knocking out 2 or 3 and you're going to feel real comfortable with the process, and you'll get more appointments, because all that other stuff we talked about on the shortcut and all that stuff, determining their why and what questions to ask, will start coming out a little more natural. All right, make sure we don't have any questions on anything on walkthrough or anything that you've heard of or you think is a struggle. Okay, closing the deal, getting the actual listing appointment. This one, I'm going to give you 1-line script that if you really want the listing appointment, you're probably going to get it 70 to 80% of the time if you use this. You guys want that one? Ooh, here we go. So basically, do the walkthrough. We sit down, we do the CMA. I know I'm flying over that stuff, but we're really just talking about the appointment part of the process right now. So after we've done the walkthrough, we've kind of talked about what's sold and active in their neighborhood. We've talked about what similar homes like theirs have sold in the neighborhood or in the area. And then we've looked at what's currently for sale in the entire market that would be attractive to their buyer. Then when we get to that appointment, before I go over the net sheet, I say, so based on all this stuff, what do you guys think the price should be? Or what were you, first of all, I say, what were you hoping for? Now, based on the material, what do you really see? And they may say something like, well, that's what we got you here for and all this stuff. So we're just looking at the values and picking something in the middle or based on the pendings or solds. And I say, for closing the deal, first of all, we've got to get to the net sheet and we got to get them to price right. But I'll tell you what the closing deal statement is here in a second. But to get over the hump of the net sheet next, I say, here's the bigger question. If I were to write you a check right now and hand it to you and the house is done and sold. Now I'm talking to somebody who's thinking of selling and I know that they're going to sell. If I were to write you a check right now, that dollar amount, and handed it to you and you were done with everything, the property's done, taxes are paid, closing costs is done, what does that check amount need to be? And if they're a $400,000 house, typically they would say, well, we'd want it to be 400,000. I'd say, well, I mean, like, so you guys have a loan on the property, right? And I would have found this out ahead of time on my sheet. I would have said, do you have a loan? Because I'm going to bring a cost sheet that shows all the costs that are involved in getting the property sold, everything, worst case scenario. And I'll show what you're going to net at the end of the day. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think we owe like 200,000. Okay, so now see, that was way back on the phone days ago, a couple days ago. Now I'm sitting there, I moved through the process. What's that check need to be? 400,000. It's like, no, I mean, like after your loans paid off and everything, all the costs to sell. What do you need the money for? Right? What are you going to use the money for? Well, we're putting it down on the new house, putting 20% down. Okay. And then anything else? It's like, well, we really wanted to pay off this car too for our daughter. Okay. So what's that amount need to be? Well, 20%, and this is like 180,000. Okay. So if I wrote you a check for $180,000 right now and handed it to you, you would be good with moving, right? So now I can go over the net sheet and show them with the cost at 400,000, paying off $200,000 loan, it's going to be right around 180,000. It almost always is. I don't know how that works out, but it almost always is, because I got them on the real number, not the giveaway price number. Sale price doesn't matter. And a lot of times the net sheet will be more than what they said because they didn't calculate this part of the formula. Very, 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 very seldom is their number still higher than what is on my net sheet. And if it is, let's just say they're unrealistic and the number they really gave me is 50,000 more than what's on my net sheet, then I could say, so that's your bottom dollar, like you won't sell the house for any more than that, then the price is going to have to be here to get that net for you. I just add the 50,000 to the price that we're looking at on the net sheet. And then all we have to do is pull out the other actives and solds again and go through them and go, well, that would put you way up the list where nobody's gotten that price before. So, I mean, to get that amount, we're going to have to sell for more than anybody in the market sold. And then we have to get it to appraise and everything else. Well, that's not really the price. I mean, that's just what we were hoping for. Okay, I'm going to let them make that decision. But here's the last script to close the deal. So whatever happens and they're not ready to list yet, you say, I think I've given this to you before on the Spark side, but between now, let me just give you one last piece of information. So you've been here, we did all that stuff. Thank you so much for the information, Elizabeth. This is great. We're going to talk about it and decide what we want to do, right? And you say, okay, I'm going to leave you with one last piece of information. So are you guys definitely moving? Like, is this an absolute thing that you are absolutely going to move? And they're going to answer however they're going to answer. If they say no, we're just feeling the market out. It's like, okay, well then what? I'll still give them the script. But if they say, yeah, the hole's being dug, we're definitely moving. I know their why, that they want to be moved by March and why and all that other stuff. So I say, here's what I want you to consider. Between now and when that sign goes in your yard, there are buyers in the marketplace that would probably fall in love with your property. There might even be buyers that would fight over your house, pay more than asking price, competitive bids, low inventory. But between now and when that sign goes in the yard, those buyers between now and then will be buying the next best thing that comes on the market. Because your house isn't for sale, they don't know it's for sale. You may have their dream home that they would love, but they won't know it's available until you come on the market. So the day, if between now and then, we are just losing buyer opportunities. Well, I don't want to sell, I don't want to give my house away. That's fine. If somebody showed it, if we put that sign in your yard tonight and somebody shows up and offers you 50,000 less than your asking price and wants you to be out in 2 weeks, what would you say? Well, hell no, I ain't selling that. Right. You'd say no, because you're in control here. You can say no to anybody when you're selling before you're ready to sell. But if you wait till you get an offer accepted and now your contingency is being bumped out and all that other stuff that could happen, right? Then you're going to take less for your house if somebody comes in and you're about to have 2 house payments. But I don't even get into that script so much. I'm just sharing that with you of where the script comes from. So between now and when that sign goes in your yard, we lose buyers. Now, once the sign goes in the yard, we have every buyer from that day forward. So if you know for sure you're moving, then really the sooner we get that sign in the yard, the better. And if somebody shows up and has terms that you don't like, you're more likely to say no to them here than when you actually really need to sell. So this market's just too crazy. You're going to get the highest price you're going to get for your house in this market right now. And there's buyers out there waiting for the next house to hit the market. Is that a good script? So you could even use that one on your friends, even though they told you they weren't ready to sell, right? After you went through the numbers and it's like, wow, that's a great price. Well, just think about this. If you guys, right now, you said there were a couple things you knew you needed to fix and do all that stuff in this market right now. We don't have to fix as much because there's nothing on the market. And we could have you guys ready to go where you could get your house on the market and find these buyers who might even pay for the house, pay more than the house than you're asking, and not even ask you to fix stuff, right? And we can move you into a little better neighborhood, a little better price range, take advantage of the newer interest rate, and maybe get a little more house for about the same monthly payment that you're paying now, or buy a newer house with less repairs, rather than fixing it up when you can sell now for extra money and not fix it up. So anyway, there you go. That's the listing appointment, locking it up, closing the deal. What'd you guys think of that stuff there? Good stuff? Yeah. Oh, I really want you guys to do the evaluation today. And if you don't mind, like really sharing that on your Facebook page and just any ahas you got out of today or anything that stands out. Anybody want to share some of your ahas real quick before we go?
Set the appointment in the moment.
In the moment.
Yeah, it just sounds too easy. I'm definitely going to try it.
It is. You don't even have to try it. And now a maps coach in me. There is no try. There's only do, right? Just
all right. I'm doing it. I'm committing myself. You gotta hold myself accountable. On Wednesday when I log in, you have to check and see if I did it or not.
Yep. Exactly. And remember, everybody loves talking about real estate, let alone the value on their property.
You know what it feels like? It feels like it feels like back in the day when you like somebody and they're not calling you back or texting you back and you don't want to sound desperate.
Yeah.
And so it feels like that, and it's making me anxious. I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, remember, this appointment we're talking about is just like, hey, you want to help a friend out, but I got to be connected. That is not going to work with somebody that I'm not connected with. They're, I mean, it's just not. So yes, this is people that you're connected with, and it's not going to be your first call out of the blue. This is your second or third follow-up call. So man, we got to get those first calls out of the way then, right? All right, guys, good stuff. I love working you through the process, and I love making you feel like it's easy so you'll do more and do it and put it into action. Our future rock stars are right here on this call. All right, guys, go have fun with it. And remember, you're just providing information and value, and the rest of the stuff will start falling into place.
Thank you so much.
Great day.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you. Thank you.